What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Roberts, and I am the owner of Darking Productions, and I have a very special guest here with us today. We have Josh from the project Noise. Josh, say hello to the viewers.
What up, guys?
So, we're just going to be asking Josh some questions today, see what kind of got him started, not just on the EP that he's working on, but all the way back to when he started. So we'll start with our first question here, Josh. When did you start playing guitar?
Man, I mean, it's kind of always been a thing that's been around. Like, a lot of my family members and stuff have been kind of hobby playing for pretty much as far back as I can remember. Like, from childhood and stuff, there's always just at family functions been guitars. My great uncle actually has been playing since he was, I don't know, early 20s. Dude's like 60 now. He owned a music store a while back. Like, it's just always been a thing. So I remember, like, even as a little kid, getting guitars for like Christmas and stuff, just, you know, a little like first act, like toy guitar, like knockoff thing.
Yep.
And just messing around with all of those. And I started taking it seriously probably around the age of like 15 or so. I was in like middle school, and I remember there was we had a talent show, and one of my buddies who like kind of played drums but not really was like, oh, let's just like throw a song together and play in this talent show. We did like 3 rehearsals, and then when it came time for the audition, this guy never showed up. So it's just me on this stage playing this half-assed song. Like,
God.
I remember there was a teacher who taught, like, he had like an ensemble kind of rock group thing going on, like after school and stuff. And he was watching the audition. He came up to me afterwards. He's like, that was terrible. Here's a bunch of advice. And then from there, like, 2 of my cousins were actually in there's a studio in my hometown where they did like ensemble classes and guitar lessons and stuff like that. And they were going to audition to be in the ensemble classes, and they dragged me with them. They're just like, hey, you should come check this out. So I did. And from there, like, I got into the ensemble class, like, and then I started taking guitar lessons for maybe 3 to 4 months or so. And then from there, I was kind of just like self-taught more or less, like I had been beforehand. It's been kind of an in and out thing really for the last like 10 years or so of my life. Like, you know, I'd take half a year off here and there, and then like really about last year, 2 years ago, something in that realm, I was just like, you know what, this is something I've always been kind of good with, something I've always enjoyed doing. I'm just going to try and go real hard with it. And that's kind of what brought me to this point now where I'm like, screw it, I'm going to make an EP.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, dude. Hell yeah. So, I mean, would you say that your family member was like what got you into playing guitar, or was there like a musician where you're like, oh, dude, you know, I want to be like this guy, or was it just that whole family thing?
I mean, the family thing definitely helped, but also I remember hearing, as cringy as some people would think this sounds, I heard like the City of Evil album from Avenged Sevenfold and all the guitar work and stuff on there, and I was just like, I don't know what this is or how you do this witchcraft, but I need to learn how to do this. So that kind of really made me want to get more into it.
Yeah, dude, trust me, I get that. For me, it was the Black Album by Metallica. Like, it was the same thing. Like, I don't know what they're doing, but this sounds so cool. I one day want to learn how to do this.
Right. Well, I mean, there's always like, you know, the older scene type of music too, the Metallica and Megadeth and like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that I feel everyone as a budding musician kind of goes through that phase where they're into that stuff, learning all that. That's kind of just a stepping stone.
Exactly. But no, I actually had no clue that it was Avenged Sevenfold for you. That's actually pretty cool. I mean, dude, those guys don't get enough credit for their musicianship.
I mean, that's actually one of the bigger reasons I'm into more or less the Schecter guitars here.
Yep.
Sinister Gates and Zachy Vengeance playing on those things, and actually one of my one of my dad's friends, who actually ended up being a good buddy of mine too, was in a local rock group who actually got pretty big, and for a minute they're not together anymore, but this dude had his guitar player had a Schecter Damien 6, the flat black one with the bat inlays and stuff.
Yep.
And like at the time, I had just had like some little knockoff Squire like Strat type guitar and stuff, and I wanted like a real guitar, so I ended up buying that off this guy, and that's kind of what kicked me off on the whole Schecter thing.
Hell yeah.
My guitar was awesome. It got stolen actually.
Really?
Yeah, I was in jazz band at school, and some dude walked into the jazz band guitar room and just like grabbed my guitar and walked out.
What?
Yeah.
You never got it back, did you?
Nope, never get it back.
Wow, dude.
Never
That's
saw that kid
terrible.
again.
That's absolutely terrible, man. Like that. Then again, that's also some Metallica shit right there. That's why they wrote "Fade to Black" was because all their equipment got stolen on tour.
Right? I mean, stuff happens. It is what it is.
Write a song about it.
Probably should, yeah. Not a bad idea.
Now you said you took lessons for a little while, mostly self-taught. Do you play any other instruments, or besides like guitar?
Yeah, just guitar, kind of bass. I can mess around on keys and stuff. Like I took music theory and stuff in high school, so I had to learn my major and my minor scales and chord shapes and stuff like that. I don't remember most of it because I don't use it, but it's in there somewhere. I can play a little bit of drums, like just basic rock beats and stuff, like nothing crazy. Enough to get by.
Yeah, same here. So you said that you kind of within this past year or so started really focusing on like writing your own music. Did you have any inspiration to do that beforehand? Did you have any previous music written when you were starting to, pick up a guitar? Like, did you ever like pick up a guitar and were like, blah blah blah, these lyrics and these random chords, or was it just kind of like within the past, whatever time?
Well, I mean, like I've always been pretty decent at just like making cool riffs and like doing stuff like that. Like one of my buddies in high school used to call me the riff master because I could pick up a guitar and just start playing shit like and have it sound kind of cool. So I've always been good at that. My songwriting, even in my opinion now, is still fairly lacking. I think it could always be better, but that's kind of what makes a good Cat, get out of there. That's what makes a good musician.
Exactly.
Like but yeah, really in the past year is when I've almost been listening to music differently, because it's been this thing where now I'm hearing the structure and where a verse and a chorus and a hook and like things fit and how it plays off everything else and stuff like that.
Right.
So like definitely a new thing, but I've always had some kind of riffs and ideas like in my back pocket, more or less.
So you're spending a lot more time listening to the actual overall song structure and how it's laid out as a composition more than just like a song that's listened to.
Yeah. I mean, like Trey Xavier has been saying in his more recent Dear God's videos, the reviews with the songwriting contest stuff, that the riff soup, he's getting a lot of the riff soup where it's just people slapping riffs together in sequences and going, oh, this is a song, and like you need movement to it, And I mean, I'm even guilty of that in probably some of the songs that'll be on the CP.
Oh,
but
dude, like,
it's what it is.
I mean, you know the Mycerium library. It's massive. I am so guilty of that, especially my earlier stuff, which again, like you said yourself, like, when you're kind of struggling to find that, okay, what's going to fit here? Oh, let me just throw this in there. It kind of fits. It's the next step of that musician, of being a musician in that respect is, okay, this riff kind of fits. How do I make it really fit?
Yeah.
What do I need to change to get it to the next point where it fully fits? And I think that's the difference. And I mean, even when we were just hanging out the other day, I noticed that, like when we were just jamming a little bit, you're like changing little things up here or there, because you were like, I could see it in your eyes. You were like, I know this is gonna fit, but I need to change something.
Yeah, that's how I try to look at things. Like I try to approach things like that with like, okay, this basic idea works, but how can I make it like really lock in?
And that, like you said, I think that is absolutely a sign of a good musician and composer, is having that ear for, okay, what needs to change? Something needs to change, but I need to figure out what it is. And it's that sweet moment afterwards, once you figure out what it is and you've got it all set, and you're ready to either work on the next riff, or if it's the end of the song and you're like, this was the last riff, let's see what this sounds like all together, and you play it, it's like, oh dude, this is it, this is the banger, this is the one.
That for me is the hardest thing too, is taking like that idea in your head and really like getting it out. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand about writing. It's not just like I'm gonna
Oh, I lost you for a second.
and like hope it turns into a song. It's like a lot of the time you have an idea in your brain and it's really struggling to be able to play it, like to make it come to life.
Yeah, it's the communication from here to here. Now, do you have like an overall goal with your music, or are you just kind of going with the flow? Or is it a mix of both?
It is a bit of mix of both right now. It's really like I'm kind of getting my toes wet more or less, testing the waters with at least this EP, because like it's my kind of first dive into this end of music, like
Yeah.
because I've always kind of played in like cover bands or been playing someone else's music, and like really being able to take my own ideas and bring them to life is definitely a new thing for me.
Yep.
Which is cool. It's exciting. I would say my overall goal, more or less, I mean, really, like, I have a big love of metal music, heavy music in general, like, always been into, like, some of the shred guitar stuff and stuff like that. So it's really just me trying to, like, kind of, whether it's a big mark or not, like, here's my mark, I've done something with this, like, I've left this here. It's just me really trying to make a contribution to what I love.
No, I think that's a very admirable goal, you know, like being able to like you were saying, you know, express yourself creatively and contributing to this thing that kind of pushed you in that direction to begin with. It's like it gave you this, you know, concept or idea, and you're giving back to it. You know, it's a cycle, and I think that's in a weird way kind of beautiful, you know, and I think it's a very admirable goal, is to be able to say that I'm giving back to this community because they gave me so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, how would you describe what you play?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
That's what she said.
Well, I mean, I definitely have a lot of roots in like metalcore, deathcore, that kind of stuff, because that's kind of predominantly what I'm into. There's a little bit of weird jazzy stuff thrown in there, and like not, you know, a ton of it, but it's there. 740 sounding kind of stuff. As I said earlier, it was a big influence earlier on. I mean, overall, I don't really dig into like the subgenres and stuff like that. Like to me, it's just like it's metal, it's heavy music. That's all I can really say for it. There's some weird computer sound kind of things in there. Like it's just this kind of mix of stuff. Like whatever comes into my brain, I'm like, maybe this will work, and I try it, and if it fits, it sits. If it doesn't, I'm like, yeah, scratch that, try again. Like
delete. Yep. I feel that.
I'm far more hitting delete than I am okay in my DAW.
Control X. Nope, I'm good.
Try again.
Now, I mean, I kind of know this answer, but obviously not everyone knows you. So when did you actually start recording yourself?
Really the beginning of the pandemic, more or less. Like I got laid off of my job. I had that crazy unemployment money coming in. I bought a bunch of stuff to record, and I was like, I'm just gonna sit here and do this. So like I'm still really new at that. It's not something I'm very well versed in. Even just hanging out with you the other day, I learned like a lot of stuff.
I think that's gonna resonate with a lot of people that, you know, are kind of in a similar situation. Like there have been a slew of people doing basically what you did. This pandemic hit, and they're sitting at home, no idea what to do. They've got all this free time on their hands, and like you said, now they've got all this, you know, free money coming in. They're like, oh well, you know, I've always liked music, and I've always either liked writing stuff or played with other bands, so what can I do for myself? And you know, I have noticed that, especially in a lot of the groups, even ones that you and I are in on Facebook, maybe not as prominently as it was towards the beginning of the pandemic, but there was a lot of that kind of pandemic shaming. Like, oh, you know, why did you wait till now to start doing it? Or oh, you're just a bedroom guitarist and everything. And it's like, look, there's a lot of people that started out that way and have gone above and beyond. I mean, like, look at guys like, you know, like you said, like Trey or Tyler Larson from Music Is Win. You know,
Mhm.
those guys in their own respect are kind of bedroom guitarists. They got their start recording themselves and putting it on YouTube, and look what they're doing now. You know, so it's really no different. And I think
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
the shaming is ridiculous.
Everyone's got to start somewhere. Like, not everyone's gonna just have a band, go on stage, play, and be a shred god like out the gate. Like, that's just kind of unrealistic, more or less, in my opinion. Like, and especially since the bar has gotten so much higher in the last like 10 years, even. Like, I was, like I said, I've been in and out of kind of the scene and what's trending and stuff for the past like 10 years. Like, there's all these new techniques and stuff now, even that I'm like, what is this? Like, selective picking? Like, how do you even do that? Like, there's these crazy things that like I didn't even know were possible.
Or turning your guitar into fourths and selling it for $10.
Oh boy, let's not even go there. Did you know guitars are tuned in fourths more or less anyway, minus the G string?
Like, come on, bro. Like, oh, you're anyway.
Yeah.
So not one of the questions that I had written, but just your opinion. And again, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one. Do you need expensive equipment to sound good?
I mean, no, you don't. If you know how to use whatever equipment you have, you can. I use Reaper. That was $60 for the license for that. And even the stuff built into there as far as effects and EQing things and stuff, like, will work decently if you know how to utilize it.
Exactly.
But that being said, you do kind of get what you pay for sometimes. Like, more expensive things do tend to have, like, they'll sound good, but you still have to know how to use them. Like, you can buy $1,000 recording software, but if you don't know how to use any of it, like, it's useless.
Your music is going to come out sounding just as good as somebody who spent the $60 fee for the license for Reaper.
In terms of DAWs, really, every DAW there is, but from what I've seen, they have pretty much achieved the same goal anyway. Like, it's really just ease of use and comfortability and things like that kind of factor in once you kind of hit that point.
Exactly. Now, real quick, I'm going to play a clip from one of your songs here. For those who are unfamiliar with Dark Ink Productions, I do remote mixing services for people who know how to record themselves but want to get a little bit more of a polished kind of sound, or maybe some better tones, or in Josh's case a little bit of extra drum work for programming. And obviously all the clips I'm going to show you guys aren't final. This is still kind of like rough production, kind of getting towards that polished end of things. So what song do you want to share a clip from?
Let's do something from Stuck. That's my favorite one so far, to be honest with you.
All right, guys. So this clip I'm going to show you is from Josh's EP. The song is Stuck. This is just going to be a little clip of it here.
I wish I could hear it.
I feel you, man. Yeah, unfortunately, we weren't able to transfer audio from my end to his end when it came to the actual software. But trust me, it sounds good, Josh. It sounds really good. With that clip in mind, could you describe your upcoming EP in one word?
Ooh. That's a hard one.
That's what she said.
I would have to say angry.
Angry?
angry.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. It's definitely a very angry feeling EP thus far. I mean, do you want to go in more into detail with that? I mean, because I got we'll go into my next question. Is there an overall theme for the upcoming EP?
Okay, yeah, cool. That's a good one. So the overall theme really is it's supposed to be almost taking the listener through stages of depression or something of the sort. Like, I mean, I kind of struggle with stuff like that. I mean, as much as I feel kind of weird saying that publicly, like, you know, it's a pretty commonplace thing in today's world, especially with everything going on, you know. But yeah, it's pretty much just it's the place I was writing from was definitely a darker, more depressed perspective initially with all of this. Like, it was just me kind of trying to get some of those emotions out, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what this has turned into unintentionally. Like, I didn't really have like a bigger view or picture for any of this going into it. I just kind of started writing songs, and that's kind of what it's turned into. So it's this thing where basically it's taking the listener through what in my brain is like kind of what I go through when I start hitting depressive ruts.
Yeah.
Pretty much what that is.
And you know, I'm a very big advocate for mental health awareness and everything, and you know, especially amongst men, because I mean, depression affects everybody, but you know, if you take into consideration the fact that men commit suicide, what is something like 4 times more often than females do, you know, I'm a very big proponent for mental health awareness, especially with men. I want everybody to, you know, if you know someone or, you know, are yourself, you know, struggling with that kind of stuff, reach out to the National Suicide Lifeline or any sort of resources that you have. I mean, I cannot stress that enough, because I think the best thing I've ever heard was, I'd rather see you smile than go to your funeral.
Yeah, no, people definitely should be more aware that there are resources for things like that, and that they don't have to go through any of that alone, because a lot of people do try to just kind of handle that weight, and sometimes it ends in worst case scenario, which is always very unfortunate for everyone else left behind with that.
Exactly. And I mean, like, you know, we had discussed previously, you know, my most recent EP, Lost Souls of the Earth, follows a very, very similar kind of mindset. It's not quite going through the stages or like the path that you would go through for, you know, a depressive episode or anything, but all the songs in a way kind of point to, you know, being in that state of mind, feeling lost, feeling down, depressed, sad, angry, you know, things that you do when you're in that state of mind. And I think it's an issue that I'm glad that people are finally bringing to light now, and I think it's actually extremely important for musicians to bring this stuff up in music, because, you know, as I'm sure you've felt, and I know I've felt, and maybe some of the people watching this have felt, you know, there are some times where a certain song just connects with you in a way on an emotional level. Like, you'll get goosebumps, you'll start feeling the way that person or that group is feeling in that moment. And I will say again, I think it's extremely important for bands to share this kind of stuff. I mean, I shared with you an experience that I had when I was playing with the Green Invaders on Warped Tour.
Yeah.
You know, something like that, you know, really changed my perspective and made me realize, wow, my music that I play has that kind of impact on somebody, you know. And I think it's a beautiful thing that music can do that for people. And
Yep.
you know, I want to thank you as well for kind of sharing, you know, that information, because I know it's not easy for a lot of people to talk about. You know, I've been talking about it for years, so at this point it's just, you know, whatever. Yeah, I'm depressed, whatever. But like, it's fine. I go through it every day. I wake up and I want to die. You know, it is what it is. But, you know.
Well, that's the thing is, a lot of people go through that every day and don't share it just because it's, you know, their normal day. Like, no one really thinks about it as like, this is something I should talk about or anything, and that weight can get to be too much sometimes, and, you know, it's sad.
Yeah, and a lot of people still think there's that, and it's not even if they think, it's that there is still that giant stigma, you know, that stigma of, you know, people with depression, you know, being a certain way or acting a certain way, or, you know, being a buzzkill to be around, or this or that. Like, it's not always that, You know, like
Yeah.
just because you have depression doesn't mean that you can't live your regular every, day-to-day life and not have those positive moments. Like that's the problem with depression. It's not just constantly down, it's up and down and up and down and up and down. I mean,
Yeah.
like you shared with me yourself that um this kind of last song that you're trying to write, you're struggling to write because you're not in that headspace anymore. You've been feeling really good lately, which
Yeah.
I'm happy that you're feeling good.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing for the music.
It's at a certain point, it's like, what can I think of that's really fucking sad that's gonna get this song finished? Like,
yeah, for real.
like sometimes you have to put yourself in that mindset, and that like maybe that's just me, maybe that's just my self-destructive nature that I have to put myself in that mindset to write that kind of music. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, I agree. It would feel disingenuous if I was to try and just kind of slap together something like that. Like it needs to come from a spot where I'm really feeling it for it to come out the way I want it to.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Like you don't want it to feel forced. It has to it has to be natural. It has to flow from here to the hands, and a lot of times it has to travel from here to the heart to the hands.
Yeah, pretty much. That's more or less where I'm trying to have it come from.
And having that emotional connection to the music that you write is also extremely important. And I think that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about a good musician or composer is having that emotional connection to the music that you're writing.
Mm-hmm.
I've had you and a bunch of other friends catch me in the act of listening to my own music in my car, and it's not because I'm like, oh, I'm the greatest or anything, but it's because it's like, okay, I was in this spot how long ago.
Yeah.
It's like kind of revisiting your past self in a way.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing I'd like to address too, actually, while we're here is, the whole listening to your own music stigma and stuff like that really kind of irks me a lot too, because you should listen to your own music. If you don't like your own music, why are you even writing it? Like,
my point exactly.
Ridiculous to me.
The way I like to look at it is, what's the point of writing music if you yourself aren't going to enjoy it?
Yeah.
Especially as we'll say, this is more specific to solo musicians or solo composers, people who do this stuff by themselves. I write music that I want to hear. I don't do this solo project for anybody but myself. And I just think it's really cool that other people are going along on this journey with me. And that support me, and and when your EP comes out, and I mean, even now you've got people, cheering you, besides me, you've got a bunch of people cheering you on and want to hear your new stuff, and you share clips with them, and they always show their support or give you constructive criticism, and the fact that they are willing to take part, even if it's just a little part, that little bit of feedback, having that feedback, that is important. For the creative process, and knowing that, like I said, doing this on your own and doing this for yourself is one kind of emotionally healing. Like you said, like it's instead of getting to that place where unfortunately some people feel that they have to go, whether it's self-harm or suicide or something like that, instead of seeking help or finding a healthy outlet. This was for me from the very beginning, a creative and emotional outlet. I've always said that my music is an extension of myself. I'm putting myself out there. The way I see it is, my music is the truest form of myself. You get to hear that person in their rawest.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's definitely good too, as you said before, with me sharing little things with other people and getting some feedback. I do feel it's also good, as much as it's for myself, it is good to get a listener perspective on things as well.
Oh, I agree.
Because I'm a listener, I'm writing the music. I don't view it the way the average person is going to be receiving this, And it helps me just be able to make that connection better, more solid and stuff with the average person.
And on a from a production standpoint, that's also extremely important because I mean, for me, I've been doing this for a while, and having that feedback from somebody that I'm finally able to work with, who's not only a good musician but a good friend, having their friends judge it and like, hey, this sounds good. Maybe turn down the kicks a little bit, or the guitar's a little too loud here. Maybe we'll maybe switch this up and put this harmony over here. Like having that feedback is extremely important, and this also goes to the viewers that are either in our position or have friends that are in our position. If you've got a friend that's a solo musician or in any sort of group, and they're like, hey, I've got this track, I want your honest opinion on it. Listen to it. They're just looking for help. They're not trying to a lot of the time they're not like, oh hey, go sell my stuff, or don't go out and promote me or whatever. No, we want that feedback. We need that help.
Honest feedback. Don't go blowing smoke up people's asses.
Exactly. Like, oh yeah, that sounds good, and then leave it at that. Like, no, we want you to take a really good listen to it and tell us if there's anything that you would change, anything that you would fix, anything that you found was like a wrong volume, anything that was too quiet, anything like that. Tell us. Give us the real feedback that we need to hear. If you think it sucks, tell us you think it sucks, but tell us why.
Yeah, we can change these things.
Exactly. These are all things that are easily fixable. And obviously, especially with metal, it's not for everybody.
No.
Which is, I mean, I've come to terms with that years ago. Metal is not for everybody.
So, yeah, no. I'm not expecting all of my friends and family members to think this is awesome.
Exactly.
So it is what it is.
Kind of along those lines, do you have any words of encouragement for someone who may be interested in picking up a new instrument or learning how to record themselves?
Yeah, just do it, dude.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Honestly, I wish I'd started doing this 10 years ago, because I would be in a way different position than I am at this point. I feel like anyway, recording myself and having to nail every track, if I'm double tracking things, hearing it back, hearing all my mistakes, things of that nature have just in this year span or so made me such a better musician. It's completely unreal. I would definitely 10/10 recommend anyone who wants to get into this or even pick up an instrument or anything, just go for it, man. You're gonna start off being terrible. There's nowhere but up to go. Just do it.
Do it.
Yeah,
put in the work, get through it.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to sound like a fool either. It's like kids that get into theater for the first time. A lot of them will do improv, and a lot of them get scared about going up on stage and just completely falling on their face. Their jokes aren't hitting, the way that their delivery is just not hitting properly. The crowd isn't into it. That's going to happen in, theater or bands, or in this case, producing music or writing your own music. It's not going to hit all the time. There's going to be a lot of failures. There's going to be a lot of setbacks. All right, so this next clip we're going to play while Josh is enjoying his wonderful Chinese food is the beginning portion of the song Crisis off of his upcoming EP, Rot. So, next question for you. Got two left, nothing crazy.
Okay.
Where can we find you? What are your plugs?
I have my Facebook page. I have Instagram, sickrip_official. I've got my SoundCloud that I believe is under the same name. I have a Fiverr that is linked on my Instagram for anyone looking for cool guitar riffs or anything on their music. I figured I'll just shamelessly plug that.
And I'll
and then I have the Noise band page as well on Facebook.
Perfect. And I'll put links to everything in the description of this video, so you guys can go give him a like and a follow, and maybe in the future if he ends up doing YouTube or something, subscribe. I'll update as accordingly as possible. And last question that I have is there anything that you'd like to add about really anything in all of this?
One thing we didn't really touch on that I think is kind of a cooler point to this EP is that it's kind of a big collaborative effort. Each track's going to have a different vocalist, which I think some people may think is the wrong move as far as consistency's sake goes for an overall sound, but I think it'll be kind of cool because to me, one of the points of music is really just bring people together, and I think it's really cool that, I have all these other people. Like one of the guys who's going to be doing vocals on one of the tracks is from I think Wisconsin or Minnesota or something like that. Like just random internet friends, and I think it would be cool to see more of that, even just more people featuring on EPs and doing stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Now, who do you have doing the vocals on all the tracks?
Well, I've got you on one, Mr. Nick Roberts, and then I have this guy Jacob Redding. I'm not sure I'm saying his name correctly. I hope he doesn't fucking crucify me for that one. But who's a really cool vocalist. I'm 99% sure he's from Wisconsin. I'm about to actually just double check here. Oh no, I was wrong. Minnesota.
Oh yeah, you do not mix those two up. Hell no. Big rivalry there, my guy.
My geography is not on point.
Packers versus Vikings, bro? Come on.
I'm not into sports. I wouldn't even know that.
I don't either. I just know it's a rivalry.
And then we got Freddie Abrante, who's going to be on one of the tracks. Freddie Abrante of the Green Invaders / Deer Slug here in Connecticut. The last track is up in the air. I haven't even written it yet, so we're not sure who's going to be doing that one.
So I'm doing Crisis. Freddie is doing Paradigm.
Freddie's doing Stuck.
And Jacob's doing Paradigm, and then whatever this last track is going to be an upcoming vocalist. If you're interested and you see this video, leave a comment, hit up Josh on his socials from the descriptions, or from the links in the description. Anything else that you wanted to go over, discuss, add, anything like that? Other than how good your Chinese food is?
It is very good. No, I mean, I feel like that really kind of covers what's going on so far. I mean, as I said before we started this, with the EP not being completely finished, there's really kind of only so much to touch on at this point.
Right.
We can check back in when it's done.
We'll revisit and do another interview once everything's closer to completion. That was one question that I forgot to ask. Is there an approximate time frame that you would like to have this out completed?
I would like to have it done by the end of this year. Somewhere roughly, whether it be late fall, early winter, somewhere in there. I'm not in a gigantic rush to get it done, but really once all the writing's done and the vocals are done, it's kind of just maybe retracking some things and then just polishing up everything really from there, and then, promotion and stuff like that. Yep. So shouldn't be too much left to go.
So we're looking around fourth quarter 2021.
Yeah, somewhere in that realm.
Very cool. Well, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be very interested in hearing more than just these clips. Well, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Again, I'm Nick with Dark Ink Productions and Mycerium and whatever other social stuff we got going on here. Thank you, Josh, for your time. Again, you can find him at Noise Band on Facebook, Sick Riff _official on Instagram, and also SoundCloud, possibly, as well as his Fiverr account, which is linked through his Instagram. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you soon. Take care.
Oh yeah, good. Do you like that kind of proggy riff? The one that is like once.
That part.
That one's cool. My food's here. I'll be right back.
Go for it.
Might as well crack a beer while I'm eating.
Yeah.
You just walked to the door, very hesitant, like, "Are you Josh?" Like, "Yeah, that's my food. It said delivered to downstairs, guys. Give me my food. I'm hungry."
Are you the Josh?
I have friends who call me that, actually. One of my friends called me when I was living out in Waterbury. One of my friends called me, like, just high as balls one night. They're like, "Is this the Josh? Do you do delivery?" So I've been the Josh since then.
Awesome.
In true me fashion, I slept through the entire Josh fight.
You didn't receive the coordinates in time.
One of my friends texted me and told me that I missed the Josh fight and my name was now Philip. Yeah, that's okay.
You do. You do not look like a Philip.
No, I don't. I don't know what else my name would be if it wasn't my name, to be honest.
You look more like a John.
John.
Hello, kitty.
Get away from my food, you little bastard.